Hey everybody, Whiskey here. I did a video about a year ago showing box mag from RAP4 Gen4 Nautilus being modified with a square head instead of the round collar, so it could be used with the M17 XDC with the metal mag well. Put the build up on X7 operators group on their forums and put a link to it in my YouTube vid, but it was only pictures, and that method required putting some epoxy around the outside to mount the square head in, and it's kind of a semi-permanent, almost permanent method. The epoxy doesn't really like to come off. As you can see, I kind of messed up the mag well a little bit, removing the epoxy in the square head. Since then, came across a method from one of my buddies who's a die-hard MILSIG fan that involved actually taking the square head and everything above this little lip towards the end, sanding it down with some sandpaper or 3M emery cloth, fine grit, 2, 4, 600, something like that, and shaving it down so you can actually force thread it. I'm going to do a quick video to show you how to do that, because I've had a lot of people ever since put that video up showing my box mag working with my MILSIG XDC, asking me how did you do that, can you post a video? And I figured if I'm going to post a video, it's going to be the easier non-permanent method. That is reversible. You can unthread the square head, put the round collar back on if you so choose to use it back with RAP4 stuff or older MILSIG stuff. So first thing you're going to do, or the first thing I did, is on the mag well, there's a little line here, a crack in the plastic that separates it. I put a score mark on the collar just so I knew where 6 o'clock was once it's threaded. And I'll show you why that's kind of important as you go through the build. The next thing you want to do is you got to jam your finger down in there, see if you can get a hold of the tube with your fingertip, put some pressure against it, and just kind of give it a twist to break it. There's the round collar is actually threaded onto a metal feed tube, and that metal feed tube is then threaded into the plastic base down by the hopper. And once it's unscrewed, you can pull the tube out, and then you're left with the feed neck threaded in the round collar. Now these two you want to separate, but first you're going to find that mark you made up on the collar and make a matching mark straight down from it on the feed tube, because that's the only part we're reusing at this point with the square head. And then you're going to go ahead and break the two. RAP4 usually puts a shit ton of Loctite in there, so you might need some gloves with rubber on them or jar opener or something. Try not to use vice grips or something like that. You don't want to crush the collar or the tube and make it unusable. But once you get them separated, you'll be left with a feed tube, and it'll have the mark on it. And I actually got another one here that I've already done. So you'll have a mark on it where 6 o'clock was. And now you're going to take that square head and sand it. And this part takes about 30-40 minutes. You sand it a little bit, keep test fitting it. I actually took it down from about 1.5 millimeters to just under 1 millimeter thickness on the tube. And then once you get that done, and you keep playing with it and sanding it until you get it right, you can force thread it right onto the feed tube. And the reason why we want that score mark we put here is so you know where the back 6 o'clock is, up across from the detent, because you want the detent facing forward. So you're going to force thread that on there all the way until the back is at 6 o'clock on the dot. And then you can go ahead and reinstall it. Drop it in and gently start to thread it back in. And the reason I say gently is if you keep going hard on this and the metal tube threads into the plastic mag well at the bottom and locks up, and then you keep twisting, you might actually snap off that lip that you sanded down and have to start all over again. I've actually done that, so you want to be careful and just keep threading nice and slow until you feel resistance. And if you did it right, it should line right up perfectly center with the detent forward. And you should be able to wiggle it a millimeter or two in either direction just to get it there if you did it right. And then you can go ahead, take your box mag and test fit it. And that's that. I mean, I can do another video to shoot, but I'm actually indoors right now and it's 1 a.m. and if I started shooting, my family would not appreciate it. So that's pretty much it.